Alright YouTubes, in today's video we've got a BMW E46 M3 convertible. So I'll give you a quick look. These are quite sought after cars now. This is a real good example. The guy's had it for years and years, and yeah, got a fair bit of work to do on it. So this job, we've got to put 2 new wings on it. So the guy's got 2 genuine wings from BMW, and it's the usual, this sort of era, the E46 BMWs. They all seem to be going on the wings quite a lot now. They also go on the back arches and the sills a little bit, but this is okay on the back. That wing's probably worse than this one. This one's not too bad. A little bit of blistering. It has had previous repair, but the lip's quite solid, but the guy doesn't want this to come back, this rust. Repair and paint the bonnet, just usual stone chipping, heat of the engines, degraded the clear coat, so that's breaking down. Front bumper, same again, bit chippy, a little bit scuffed on the corners underneath, and just blend into the doors. So yeah, so it'd be the whole front end and blend into the doors. So yeah, I think the colour's estriol blue. I haven't checked it yet, but I think it is estriol blue. So yeah, start off with, we're going to get it all stripped down first, get the wings off, get the bumper off, get all that stripped down, and then we'll crack on with getting it all prepped up, primer, and then get it into paint.
Alright YouTubes, we're going to start this video off with a bit of stripping on this one. Don't show much stripping on my video, so I thought start this one off with the stripping stage.
This one's broken. Cap. One edge of it is, and I don't like it. We already like it. I really like that.
So to get them little, you call they're called hockey sticks. That's what we used to call them back in the day. I've worked on a fair few of these E46s back in the day, but obviously don't work on them so much nowadays. But I have done a couple in the last year or so. And them little, you've got to get those hockey sticks out. You've got to get the jet part of that headlamp washer out, and they're just an absolute bugger to get out without breaking it, you know, because if you break that, you're going to have to replace all of that. It's a tiny little tab that you have to try and push down, but the plastic's all hard and brittle, and they're under tension, and yeah, trying to get them out without breaking them is a pain. But yeah, it takes quite a while just to do that, just to get those little hockey sticks out. To be honest with you, the bumper's quicker stripping. So yeah, bumper on these, really straightforward, sort of this bit of an older type of design. There's just a few screws across the bottom for the splash guard where it connects, couple of trim clips, and then they're like in what you call cotton reels on the end where it slides in, and then across the inside of it there's like little plastic ball joints, and the bumper clips onto those ball joints. So once you've undone those few screws, you just give it a good yank and it comes straight off.
Where the splash guards on these are like still all the way in the bottom of the thing.
Yeah.
And it has all that like subframe in the way.
Right on YouTube, that's the BMW M3's all stripped now, so we're going to start the repairs in preparation. It's not a massive amount to repair, because like I said, we've got 2 new wings to go on it. The bumper's got a bit of repairing to do, so it's all scraped under here, and split paint a little bit, and then we've just got a bit of a split here, so we're going to take care of that, plastic weld it. The plastic's PP, so PP always welds fairly decent. So we're going to clean the back up, clean the other side up as well, obviously the front side. Put some staples in there just to hold it in position, and then once you've got the staples in there, we'll V this out a little bit, V this crack out a little bit, sand off all of this paint around it so it's bare plastic, and do a little bit of plastic welding in there. Could you just put some weight on here, just to pull it up? It's done quite. Right, up here.
What? Shit.
Yeah.
Together?
Just, it only needs a little bit.
Doesn't exactly go right where it.
No, it don't fit quite on the circle.
I don't know if there's something on this side just jamming it. Don't go back in.
No. Got a rough edge in there, isn't it?
So ideally, when you're stapling something back together, plastic, if it's a nice clean break in the plastic, you want that plastic. You know, like if you was going to super glue something, you can find a position where it fits back in itself, as long as none of the other plastic's broken away. But on this, it had a few repairs on this bumper, and it had a load of clag in there. Clag's filler, if you're not English, and yeah, it was just impeding trying to get that. You want to get that to fit as tightly as possible before you put a staple in. Then the staple holds really well and you get a real nice fix.
Well, it's almost there. Maybe wants a bit of heat, doesn't it? It's where that little corner bit's nobbled out here.
Yeah.
Let me just warm that up a little bit.
So trying to manipulate it with a little bit of heat, so we can't get it to quite fit back together properly. And if you've got a gap between it and the staple shown in the gap,
That's better.
it's just going to be loose and there's more risk of it cracking on your repair. It's sort of a bit.
Under a lot of tension.
It's a bit of a pivot point, that crack as well. You know,
If you support
with the
it there,
bottom flexes,
yeah, sort
it
of
will easily break away on that piece there.
like that. Release it off now. That's it. There it needs to be.
So finally got it into a position that's the best position I could find for it to be stapled back together. And yeah, probably a lot of people maybe watching that have used these staplers before, but they're really handy. They really help you fix stuff, you know, not just cracks in bumpers and stuff like that, but you know, tabs on headlights, fog lamps and stuff like that. They work really well, and I find the higher settings better on most plastics, and then yeah, just get it in there, and I get it in sort of halfway through the plastic, then I release the button off and give it a twist right at the end just to get it to sort of twist in.
Yeah, it's still solid now.
Yeah, don't take it off with it. I'll get one on that end.
What, the top end?
Yeah.
There's a variety of different staples you can use. You can use ones that are like wiggly, that bridge across the crack. or those ones I use, they're sort of, they've got a small little wiggle in them and they go straight across. I find those ones are better for getting into the plastic and for twisting. I find they're a little bit stronger. You get the corner, like inverted corner ones, and the ones that go on the outside of a corner. So yeah, they're really handy. There's so many different makes of them out there now. Really cheap, and they're sort of a must-have, really. I think such a cheap tool that's really handy, and I just find for plastic welding, I can get it in the exact position that I want it to be in before I start welding the face together very well. I just have to plastic weld it.
Yeah.
I found the combination of using the staples
Too flimsy of an edge.
and plastic welding it. Yeah, I've had some successful repairs that haven't cracked on me, because the trouble is, you can go to all this effort to repair a crack, fill it, paint it, and all the rest of it, and then you've got to twist and flex your bumper. When you're refitting it, there's always a risk of it, you know, unless you're doing the bumper in situ. So yeah, that combination. There's a variety of other ways you can do it. You can use like the hot iron on a plastic welder, and you can weld like mesh over it, so you can heat mesh into it. That works really well as well. So yeah, there's a load of combinations of repairing cracks, you know. But again, there's such a variety of different plastics as well, and some don't weld very well, like the ABS and like the PUR plastics. You have to sort of use those plastic welding rods. You use it more like a hot glue than fusing it together, you know. So I normally drill a hole at the end of the crack. That helps with the crack not going any further and no more flexing at that point. And then yeah, just get it all to bare plastic. There was a ton of material on this bumper, so I used a little grinder just to V it out past where I drilled that hole. I V'd that crack out, so it gives me a bit more weld to be able to go in there. And then a little DA pad on another little die grinder, just to take off rough that right up around that crack, and then DA it. DA'd it with 120 grit, and then yeah, I've got like a little foot that goes on that gun for welding, but I find sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome and loads of heat comes out of it. So I use the hot air gun to melt the rod into the crack itself, and then yeah, another like little soldering iron type one, just to like smear it in. You want to sort of get the plastic of the bumper hot enough to melt it, so it infuses with your plastic rod as well, so it all melts together. That's sort of what you want to try and achieve, and I find it's really strong then. If you get it hot enough, it's around 600 degrees is the melting point, so you get it hot enough to melt the existing plastic and melt your rod. So that's the bumper all welded, and then left it to resend to start doing the filler work. And the preparation of that to get it ready for primers. We're priming it all over, and now I'm cracking on with the preparation on the bonnet. Again, this is going to be primed all over. Yeah, the deterioration of the clear coat on this. I've had it before where I haven't taken off all of that clear coat and primed over it, and it can reappear itself, or it has some sort of reaction a bit later on down the line. So now when I see that the clear coat's all breaking down, and it's lost all its depth of gloss, and it's like disintegrated basically, I find that I need to get all of that clear coat off. You could paint strip that bonnet. It wouldn't be a bad idea to paint strip it, get it to bare metal. It's quite straightforward to do something like that. It had been painted a few times, but I just went down the sanding route. So yeah, sanding it all with 120 to start off with, and then I will finish it off in 180, 120 just to bite into it. I'll sand all the chips out of this one. Some of the chips across the front and little rust blisters appearing to make sure I bare metal all of those. And I'm using a different sander. The sander and extractor that we've got, Reese is using that's the main one for the workshop, and I've got a spare one, and as you could probably tell, it's really noisy. It's that noisy I have to put my AirPods in and put noise cancelling on them, or I wear ear defenders when I use it. And that's just an old electric DA that I've got. It's not the best, I think it's an Endasa one, but yeah, if we've got 2 sanding jobs on the go, I sometimes pull that out and bring it back into service. So yeah, like I say, I need to get all the clear coat off of this bonnet, which takes quite a bit of sanding, to be honest with you. And that sander that I'm using, it's reason it's not so good, it's I find the electric ones cause quite a bit of vibration on your hands anyway, so you do struggle to use them for a long time. But the speed settings on it, for some reason, the slowest, there's like 4 speed or 5 speed settings on it. The first one's too slow, and then setting number 2 is too fast. I find if you have your DAs on too fast a speed, you just burn your pads out. You burn your DA pads out really quickly. So it's trying to find a balance between it biting and not burning the grit off your pad. So DA pads I use, they're 3M, and they're mid-range ones, so they're blue, like blue box they're called, and they're okay. They're pretty decent. They do last quite a while. They're ceramic. They're not as good as the Cubitron, the purple ones, but they're sort of almost half the price of them. So they're a good middle ground DA pad. Like I say, they do last well. They cut well. They're nice sanding grit on them, and yeah, I'm not too bad on the price neither. So this is sped up. Obviously, it's quite time consuming to get all that clear coat off. On a bonnet especially, you want to keep that DA moving. You want to keep going in all over different places with it. Keep it in straight lines. You sort of keep it flat. I've got no interface pad on that. Just using it flat, because you'll cause, especially when there's a bit of product on the bonnet as well, you're going to cause ripples in that bonnet. And you're going to make hard work of your primer to try and straighten that up. So yeah, just keep it moving. Again, another reason why you want to keep it moving is so you're not putting too much heat into it. That's quite a rigid bonnet on that BMW M3. Some bonnets flex really easy, and you start putting heat into them and you can warp the skin a little bit. So yeah, sort of cross hatching backwards and forwards. Move away from the spot you're on, go to another spot, come back to where you were, and then yeah, just keep moving it, sort of hold it flat. Quite often I'm using 2 hands on it to keep it flat, and yeah, use it like a block really. And yeah, just get that, I need to get that clear coat right off. And lucky enough, sometimes the base coat could be a bit sticky and chewy underneath. When you see reactions like this on paintwork, when you see breakdown of paint and clear coat, sometimes I've had it before where you'll get through to the base coat, and then that start gumming up with the heat of the DA, start blocking your pad up, and you're forever changing your pads over. When it gets in those type of situations, really, you just want to get the paint stripper out really. But it's stinky, it's not nice to do, it can be messy, there's a risk of getting paint stripper in places you don't want it, and then you still have to give it a good DA in. So yeah, sometimes you start these jobs and you think, in hindsight maybe I should have paint stripped it, but it was fine on this. I didn't feel as though I did need to paint strip it, and it's obviously sped up. But where the clear coat is sort of broken down, really thin in places, it didn't take too much effort to get it off. So yeah, like I say, 120 grit, just to cut it all away, cut right into it, keep it as flat as possible, feather out all your breakthroughs when you're going through more and more layers. I just make sure you just drag them layers out, drag them edges out, so you get them, you know, as flat as possible. Always run your hand over it and feel if it feels a bit like a bump or a lump, then you need to feather them layers out around it and just get it feathered out. So yeah, that's it for the preparation on that. I finished it off in 180 grit, so we're in the booth now. It's ready for primer, all masked up. Some bare metal on there, could have put a little bit of epoxy on there. The high build primer that I'm using is Mipa 4+1, and this is their high build mixing ratio. It's okay on bare metal in small areas. I wouldn't use it on you know, a complete panel that's bare metal that would want epoxy on it, something like that, or etch. I'm not too keen on etch, to be honest with you, so I'd use epoxy. But I use a haft promoter on the bare metal just to guarantee a bit of adhesion. That's what they recommend as well. Anything over a fist size, a hand size of bare metal, they recommend to put a bit of haft promoter on there if you're not going to be using epoxy. So my first coat, I put 3.5 coats on. I always put a half a coat first, and especially on a job like this where it's got loads of old coatings on there, loads of breakthroughs, in all different places. There's different film builds on the bumper, on the bonnet and on the bumper. That bumper looks like it's in primer, but that was a previous time that someone's obviously primed it all over. So again, loads of material, loads of risk of picking up edges on your breakthroughs and reactions. So I just always put that half coat on. It's almost like a grip coat that will sort of give you a good foundation for then for putting your full coats on. So yeah, that half coat, like I say, it was like a bit of a grip coat really, and it minimises the risk of anything pickling up, and you will get ringing up if you whack one wet coat on as your first coat. It's going to ring up all around your breakthroughs, and then you've got a big job of trying to block all that out then, because that will just show through your other coats. No matter how many more coats you put on there, you're going to have all those edges being picked up from that first coat. So yeah, definitely recommend putting a light coat of primer on for your first coat. It always gives you a good foundation, and then yeah, on with 3 wet coats, nice and wet, nice and even. Get it all to flow out and get it on there as even as possible. So the spray gun I'm applying the primer with is a Satajet 100B RP, and there's an array of setups you can get for this gun. My particular setup for high build primer, it's a 1.8, and I normally spray. You change your pressures quite a lot with priming, depending on whether you're spot priming or whatever, but for full panels I'm at about 1.8 bar. I do drop it down a little bit just to, you know, get the droplets a bit bigger, to get on there a little bit thicker. It's thinned quite a bit, the Mipa 4+1. This high build mixing ratio is about 10% thinners in this. They have another mixing ratio which is called like a compact filler, that's got 20%. That's more of a quicker drying, flatter, you know, if you don't need so much build, the compact filler is ideal. If you're not filling in, you know, big repairs or anything that's coarse. And they also do an even higher build than this, which is like sort of say like a spray filler type mixing ratio, where you change the hardener, put a HS hardener in it instead of just a standard like H hardener, and yeah, that's got a hell of a build on it, but it's quite slow drying. So yeah, very versatile. You can also use it as a wet on wet. So yeah, it's a very versatile primer. You get black, white and light grey. I just buy black and white and I make up the grey shades to suit. So coming to the end of the video now. We've got this job in primer. The next video is going to be the preparation and the painting in this video, and yeah, I had a couple of little hiccups in the paint stage of it, so yeah, look out for that video when it comes out. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate everyone watching, and we'll see you again soon. Look after yourselves.